I offer something called a Petit Bon Ange doll, which means little soul doll or little spirit doll. I create these for people who may not have the skills or the knowledge or may not want to create their own. So I have a beautiful little needle holder that was carved for me with a wood burning tool. It has a beautiful belladonna flower and berry on it. I have had this for probably 16 years at least. I use embroidery thread. I like the texture and the colors that they come in and the stability that it gives to the amulet once it's done. I choose to use this fabric, which is actually a Frida Kahlo print and sort of a Dia de los Muertos print, so I can make it double-sided. I always add little talismans and charms to the bottom. This is a lock and key and some cowrie shells. So I begin sewing the outside of this with just a really traditional like slip stitch. It's what I find holds the contents the best, and I really enjoy the process of imbuing intent and energy into each stitch as I create this. The idea behind a Petit Bon Ange doll is that it's sympathetic magic. It represents you. So you would take care of it the same way you would take care of it yourself. And to spell cast with it, you keep her in her special box, which I send you, and you would put offerings inside that represent the goals you want to obtain for yourself. So miniature items and representations of your real life goals. You could put in small dollar bills. You could put in small pieces of jewelry or really anything that represents your goals to you, whatever those may be. Towards the end of the video, you'll see what I include with her, so that will give you some ideas and some examples. I think the sort of practice of not only sewing, but creating a small talisman or amulet for yourself and really using each stitch as a tool of manifestation is not something that we see a lot anymore. And that's why I like to offer these. They're not technically traditional because traditionally a person would make it themselves. But as I said in the beginning, not everybody wants to or can or even trust themselves with the process if magic is something that's kind of new to them. So I put items inside her that represent manifestation to me. This is some vetiver root, which is very traditional in Southern conjure. It's an extremely popular root to purchase around New Orleans to put in your vanities and your wardrobes and your drawers. I'm adding oak moss. Here, this represents prosperity and grounding energy. I also have some Job's tears. I like to use these as a sort of representative of forgiveness and grace so that you are kind to yourself and can let out the emotions you need to let out. There's a tonka bean for love, some mojo beans for luck and prosperity, cowrie shells, which represent money and also feminine power and energy. I have some tiny safety pins that represent pinning your goal to you. Really all kinds of things are going into this. You're not going to see every one. This is just an example. Here is some shredded money to make sure that this person is never without cash. And finishing it off with probably a little bit more oak moss and vetiver root. I sort of like to create a barrier of this around all of the contents inside. Adding some rock sugar here for sweetness to sweeten the goals to the person, and some crushed pyrite, again, for some more prosperity and abundant energy to bring good luck and good fortune to this person. So then I'm going to add a little bit of this blessed beeswax that I've sort of imbued with sacred oils and some other items in there. This is just a step that I like to use. This quarter sort of represents like the heart of the doll. It's malleable and sweet and soft and natural. And so this is what I use to represent the heart of the doll, and I'll fill it with other little things. So here we're adding the last touches and sewing her up. I really enjoy making these. It's not something I get to make a lot. I only make them a couple times a year, but they are available on my site now if you would like to order one for yourself or for a loved one. The site is shop.conjuredcardea.com. And again, it's called a Petit Bon Ange. So there are a few more steps to this process where I make what's called a housing unit or a housing spell. This is a vessel to keep the doll in that has some more sacred items in it to keep her comfortable and happy and imbued with positive energy. So there's more vetiver root, there's some oak moss. Here is some ancestor money I'm going to include for the client to either burn an offering or just keep with the doll. It's their choice. Adding some more beautiful cowrie shells to surround her with that energy. Here I'm putting in a tiny rose of Jericho. And there's some, looks like some calamus root, some highjohn root, some sage. Not sure why we're recorded at this angle now, but sure. There's an evil eye talisman, an iron key for opening and unlocking and removing obstacles, opening doors, some small pieces of miniature money, and I'm going to put in a candle just to burn for the client who may want to have a little ritual when they receive her, and a little bottle of money oil just to keep everything going. Here's a little tiny king cake baby, as I like to put in a little doll to sort of keep the doll company. And this is the final result. I'm charging her on my table where I charge a lot of my items. Yeah, so there she is, a beauty. Thanks for watching.